Hi everyone, thanks for joining. I'm Elena Lake and welcome to How to Care for Your Body While Working a Desk Job. So I used to be a mathematician and a machine learning engineer, and now I'm a massage therapist and bodyworker. I spent 4 years at MIT studying math, physics, computer science, and then I worked as a machine learning engineer at Facebook for 2 years. But then in 2021, I went to massage school for fun, and also because I was looking to show up in the world more holistically, to build a more interpersonal skill than something so abstract as math and physics. Something awesome about massage was that it could help any given person in front of me as long as they had a body. And while learning massage and bodywork, I found out there was so much for both my left and right brain to do in the field, so I'm still in it. And turns out people's bodies have all sorts of challenges for all sorts of interesting and resolvable reasons. So now I have a hands-on private practice in the Bay Area, Berkeley, San Francisco, and I'm also teaching this class, How to Care for Your Body While Working a Desk Job. And why am I teaching this class? Mostly because now that I know a lot of anatomy and have worked with a lot of people, I can see that desk work has particular ways it taxes the human body. And I think these ways are under-discussed compared to how common desk work is. Moreover, a good chunk of these body challenges can be mitigated with not that much extra effort. And before I say anything else that might prime you, let's do an intro exercise. So one that gets to the heart of what we will explore in the next 90-ish minutes. It's deceptively simple. So how is your body feeling right now? You're in a body. You're here watching this class in whatever position you're in. Are you comfortable right now in this moment? Is there any way that you could get more comfortable? Try moving around a little bit. Like I'm shifting even as I say this. Do you find nearby positions that are more comfortable? Or maybe some that are less? Take a little bit of time to explore some shifts. Do whatever you need to do to get a little bit more comfortable. So I'm clearing my throat. Maybe you go get some water or get a blanket, pause the video. Like honestly anything, just what is your felt sense of how can I get slightly more comfortable? And so now here's 10 seconds to really soak up the feeling that you're now more comfortable. You've no task for these 10 seconds except enjoy. Feel into the relief and the texture of the new comfort. 2 more seconds. Cool, so that's the end of the exercise. And that seems really simple, but it gets at some super deep principles. So the main things about it are paying attention to what our body wants, taking it seriously, and remembering to actually feel the felt enjoyment of doing it well. So with that last one, I've found that if you don't take the time to feel the felt sensation of feeling better, your inner compass that runs your subconscious movements gets all miscalibrated. Meanwhile, savoring the joy signals from your body helps your inner compass stay on track. So we'll talk about all that later. And speaking of what we'll talk about later, here is an outline of how this time is going to go. So we'll be together for 90 minutes, and some of that will be talking, and some of that will be exercises and movement. So we'll get to learn kinesthetically and experientially in addition to cognitively. And also, in the spirit of your body mattering in this class, if you ever want to change position, stand up, stretch, something like that, go for it. I mean, it's a video class, like I don't see you, but even when I teach this live, I invite people, I'm like, you can get up, you do not have to be sitting down. You can go stretch on the side, just as long as you're not blocking anyone from seeing, but this is a video class, so please be even more freeform with whatever you would do for that. And yeah, what am I covering content-wise? So this course emerged out of me asking these two questions. What would desk work look like if the physical health of our bodies was non-negotiable? What would computer use have to look like to leave our health neutral or better off rather than decaying it? Because the thing I've seen while learning a lot of anatomy and working with a lot of people in my hands-on practice is that desk work comes with particular challenges that stress bodies in particular ways, and in its current default form, it is highly likely to degrade the health of even people who are otherwise healthy. But these challenges are also something I've resolved professionally, so they are resolvable. But there's a lot more people facing them than I could ever see one-to-one, so I'm starting to teach. And before I intro how I think about what these challenges are, I want to invite you personally to reflect. Do you in particular have any known desk-related discomforts? So maybe your neck is tight, or in my case, there's an ankle thing, but that's not really a desk thing. I know when I work at a desk for too long, like actually my spine gets all twisted. So do you have specific desk things? Or are you more here for prevention and longevity's sake? That's fine too. Please say that. If this was a live class, we would chat about it right now. I'd ask who's here for what. But since it's not, just reflect quietly. So here's what I came up on after jamming on those questions. In this class, I will talk about what I see as the top two main challenges of desk work, and also the method I advocate for resolving them. So the top two challenges I see are, first, it's dissociative. It incentivizes us to lose track of body sensations that would have let us know about physical structural problems before they worsen. So if you've got a body pain, most of these either come from injury or start off way smaller and crop up over time. In some rare cases, people are born with structural imbalances that cause pain innately, but even then, these initial imbalances will absolutely accumulate more imbalances if we don't pay attention and resolve them in the flow of things. So even somebody born with something really challenging, believe me, not paying attention will make it worse. So it might not fully resolve, but these tools will still help you keep it as good as you can. But most body pains, right, come from injury or start off way smaller and crop up over time. So that's challenge one, it's dissociative. Second, there's becoming desk-shaped. There's a general desk stress pattern that desk work slowly stamps on everyone over time, which tends to be forward head posture, rounded forward shoulders, tight pec muscles, and contracted hip flexors and loose glutes. Those all feed into a lot of back and neck and shoulder stiffness and pain. Now, absolutely neither of those two challenges are something that has to happen, they're just something that's common nowadays. So how can you stay out of them? So my solution has three parts. You'll see here interoceptive literacy, movement variety, and iteration. Essentially, and interoception might be a new word for you, we will define it shortly. But what all this means is that we have to learn to track and read and follow our physical body sensations, which are early warning signs that keep us out of pain and point us towards health. We have to treat them as a real source of information. Those physical sensations are interoception, which we'll cover, evolved with us specifically to point us to physical health. So most people don't pay much attention to their body sensations right now, so adding them into our body care practices can be a real low-hanging fruit. And once we're in a practice of hearing our body sensations, we have to introduce more movement variety than we're used to, and that's the thing that'll ultimately keep us well-rounded rather than in the desk stress posture. Also, the nice thing about bringing our own felt experience in as a source of information is that feeling better feels better and is therefore self-motivatingly rewarding. But it can take a little while to get a hang of, since interoception is this whole new language that we need to learn. It's not immediately obvious what physical sensation wants what from us. Hence, this iteration step in my proposed solutions. It's very important to include the iteration. It's not going to be like a one and done thing. It is an act of fluency that you continue to speak and deepen over time. So we'll need to try some things. We'll need to see how they affect our physical sensations, and over time, with repeated checking in and adjustment, we will finally feel fluent in this new language of interception. What's cool about the shape of the solution is you'll see it's sort of a one-to-one map between problem and solution, and then the iteration piece tells you the timescale. So, desk jobs being dissociative, the answer to that one is to bring our attention back to our bodies and develop interoceptive literacy to be able to navigate what they're telling us about our health. And then, desk jobs becoming stationary enough to mold us into chair shape, the solution there is movement variety, specifically anatomically informed movement variety. And then iteration to bring it all together and adapt it to your unique self. Oh, and also, last note, this is a 90-minute class, but body care is an enormous and developing field. So think of this as a 90-minute orientation to how to care for your body while working a desk job. It is very much the 101 version. There's lots more nuance and detail you could learn into everything that I'm talking about. And if that interests you, please go off, learn it, let me know how it goes. But maybe these 90 minutes will already be enough for you. So with all that said, let's dive in. So the first challenge I see to desk work is it's dissociative. This is a unique piece of the frame I'm coming in with, and I don't think this is talked about nearly enough. Once we resolve the dissociative bit, resolving the postural structural stuff gets so much easier because we can tell what's working and what's not, and we're empowered to make up our own modifications when common ones don't fit us for whatever reason. This does get tricky though because desk jobs put such high incentives on non-bodily ways of directing our attention. We are literally being paid to do something on a screen, which is a very limited slice of the 3D world. But if we want to stay healthy, we do need a regular practice of directing attention back into our body, or perhaps keeping it there in the first place, and then reading its signals and what it wants, and then doing that. Some people who don't go through all of this process of really integrating their 3D bodily presence, they might stay healthy out of sheer luck. But to me that's risky and it's not something I recommend. So what is dissociation? Since body care is an emerging field, lots of people mean different things by dissociation. Therapists talk about it, but it's also relevant purely to physical body concerns. In the general sense, it's, quote, not being present, quote, so it's not picking up what's happening around you or to you, even. For this class, I'll talk about physical dissociation, which is the opposite of something else that I call interoception. What is interoception? You've already heard me say this word, but now I'll define it. Interoception is our ability to feel our body's internal physical sensations at positions localized in space. We will get much more into this when I talk about interoception specifically later in this class as one of the solutions, but for right now, that's the definition. So by contrast to interoception, dissociation is inability to do this. Dissociation is body, what body? Do I have a body? Or at least not paying attention to it. Note, dissociation is related to numbness or general interoceptive murkiness, but it's not quite the same thing. Dissociation is simply when your awareness does not include your body or a sense of self-existing in space. If your awareness is on your body, then numbness can be a genuine signal. Dissociation is more like, whoa, I'm not even here at all, I don't have a sense of the three-dimensionality of my existence, everything that's emotionally important to me lives in some abstract realm or some place that's far away from the here and now and the physicality of this. To make this whole concept of dissociation clear, let me tell an example story. Usually when I'm texting someone on my phone, I use voice to text and I talk into my phone so that it can write down what I say and spare my thumbs. But it comes out with a lot of typos, and sometimes I'm just so into my text conversations that I type things out with my thumbs anyway. Eventually, after about half an hour of this, my thumb starts hurting just a little bit. I get a mild, tight pinching kind of in this spot. Sometimes it travels up to my wrist. And now I have a practice of checking in with my body enough to know that, oh, when that mild discomfort shows up, it is time to take a break, stop the texting, I go do something else. So no need to drop it like a hot potato, but because I hear the signal early enough that it's not urgent, I have a little bit of leeway, I can finish my thoughts. But I do need to put down my phone when that kicks in and go get some movement variety into my hand. I organize my day so that if I've got something not thumb related to do, I go do that for a bit until my thumb feels better. Sometimes literally just taking space and adding movement variety helps without any other interventions. You'll know because the pain will be gone, and it'll stay gone when you use your phone again until maybe a half hour later after another involved texting session. But if my thumb's pretty hurting at this point, I just start instinctively massaging it. I'll do a bunch of movements to shake it out, shaking's really good. I might stretch it. And this is where some skill does come in because I do stretches that unwind the pain. I've already built this body attunement practice. But the main thing is I will take care of my thumb right at that moment where I noticed that texting was starting to hurt it a little bit. And you can imagine this story going differently. So if I was so wrapped up in that conversation, and I didn't have this practice of checking in and asking, oh, how's my body feeling? Am I comfortable? Do I need to change something? I could have gotten 4 hours in and my thumb would hurt a lot and be harder to repair. So repeat that for months and years, and that is a big source of chronic pain nowadays. So does this track any of your own experience? Can you recognize that being on a screen for a while decreases your own awareness of your body? Is that something you were tracking or not? Cool, so now we'll move on to the second challenge, which is something I call becoming desk-shaped, which is an indicator that desk work is a poor design choice for the structural health of people. So in my bodywork practice, I see a lot of people in chronic pain from desk work. There's kind of two main categories. There's the pattern that desk work slowly stamps on everyone over time, even people who were healthy-ish to start. So that pattern I call, quote, becoming desk-shaped, quote. So that's the forward head posture, rounded forward shoulders, tight pec muscles, and contracted hip flexors and loose glutes. And then the other category of desk chronic pain is more all over the map and varied. It's people who already had some structural issues that now desk work is aggravating. So it is less clear to talk about than the first category. If you're in this all over the map category, you've probably never found a way to sit that feels truly comfortable. And all those diagrams of, quote, good posture, quote, feel terrible or like straining or like effort. So none of them feel like a welcome relief. Both of those categories, both the general desk stress pattern and the unique stress underlying pattern aggravated by desk, they are detectable early and they are resolvable. So they cause low-level discomfort well before they lead to pain, and we can intercept them. And we can stay feeling more healthy and comfortable than we otherwise would have. So let's talk about the underlying anatomy for a bit. The main thing to understand about this is muscles and the fascia, which is the wrapping that surrounds the muscles. It's more complicated than that, but fascia 101 is wrapping that surrounds the muscles. Muscles and fascia dynamically reshape to freeze us into the positions we're usually in. This is our body trying to help us, this is our body adapting. It's our body getting better at whatever we usually do. And this reshaping is good news because it makes being in those positions easier, but it is bad news because it also makes it harder to be in any other positions. How this applies to desk work is if you spend 30 hours a week in a chair, or with your arms outstretched to type at a keyboard, your body will try to help you out. It'll make your hips more chair-shaped and make your arms more always in front of you and a foot apart shaped. This is where those tight hip flexors and tight pecs come from. Those are the muscles that get short to hold those postures. If you find that you just can't get comfortable no matter what you do, it's likely that your muscles have contracted into some really specialized position and now they're stuck like that. This could be either via desk work or something like acute injury. Luckily, that stuck tissue can be unwound by the right movement, stretching, or visit to a skilled massage therapist or bodyworker. It might also require some strengthening somewhere else. Super nerdy bodywork note, muscles can shorten, but also fascia can adhere, so there's multiple underlying structural causal forces that contribute to this reshaping. But for now, the thing to know is that over time, desk work will reshape your body into the shape of a desk unless you move it up enough, unless you move around enough to break up the myofascial tendency to grow and stagnate into the shapes it's usually in. So this is a super rough heuristic and it's not fully known, but just from me looking around, it seems that after about 30 minutes-ish of being in a static posture, people's bodies start adapting. There's no such thing as the average person though, so maybe it takes you like 5 minutes, or maybe somebody else can be static for 45 minutes, and also it would totally depend on the posture, because some postures put more strain on you than others. So the strain changes this rate, but like 30 minutes is a decent heuristic. If you're stationary for more than 30 minutes, you should probably be able to feel some signals of this reshaping that I'm describing. So that's a little cue for exploration. Like, when do you feel that felt sensation of your body stagnating? I can feel it now. Depending on where you are in your body sensitivity, you may or may not. Maybe it'll show up sooner, maybe it'll be more of a project for it to show up. And to be clear about what I can and can't feel, if I spend a lot of time on a keyboard, I start to feel that slight ache around my pecs, like kind of my armpits, but like the muscles that hold my arms out forward. And I know what that is. It's this process of reshaping and contracture happening in real time. And how I address this, and we'll talk about this more in the movement variety section, is I actually do some self-massage in real time until it feels more spacious, or I counter-stretch it by holding my arms out to my sides. But the main takeaway I want for you is awareness that this process of becoming desk-shaped is something that happens, and is also something you can feel and intercept in real time via tactile input. Movement can also rebalance this process of the textural stiffening into common positions. But now also we have bonus challenge 2.5. I didn't put it in the outline because it's kind of a mouthful. But basically the human body was designed assuming that we'd be moving more than desk jobs ask us to, and this got pretty obvious once I started learning anatomy. The big systems that I know of so far that are directly affected by movement are muscles, lymph, joints, fascia, blood, and general hydration of every tissue. It's kind of a lot. Other systems like nerves are secondarily affected by movement. For example, nerves can get pinched by contracted muscles and fascia, causing general sluggishness or malaise or pain. But luckily, you don't need to take my word for any of this. The sensations in your body are all real-time sensors about the health of all your systems. You are your body, you have the inside view on it, so the various interoceptive textures of your experience are produced by how all those body systems are doing and how they're doing together. If there's dysfunction in one, you'll feel it. If there's good function in one, you will feel that too. So an example of this that you can probably tune into right now is muscle aches. This was revolutionary when a physical therapist first told me this 3 years ago. She said, healthy muscles don't hurt. So it's not that living is inherently sort of painful, which is something I really wondered 5 years ago. Healthy muscles do not hurt. If they do hurt, in the vast majority of cases, that's a sign that your muscles want some sort of change or remediation. And if they don't hurt, all is muscularly well. Keep doing what you're doing and enjoy. And here's a caveat. I said In the vast majority of cases, if muscles hurt, it's a sign that they want to change. It's not always clear what the change is. Sometimes it actually looks like ignoring the pain because, oops, it's possible to get into fixation loops about pain, which can worsen it. So sometimes there are pain cases where people get so scared of the pain that it starts an anxiety spiral that causes further pain, maybe by depleting the body's resources, and these people are actually better off ignoring the pain. There's a lot of nerdy theoretical stuff I could say about this, like maybe the thing the pain wanted all along was relaxation and ease. So it did actually want an adjustment and not purely to be ignored, but ignoring it was directionally closer than anxiety spiraling, and there's really a middle path here. But in general, that's outside of the scope of this class. Those sorts of things can take a while to get the hang of. So for me, that's a body care 201 topic, and this class is still 101. This is why I talk about this topic as interoceptive literacy and not simply maximizing interoception. It's about getting to know the sensations and what they want from us and what puts them on a path of well-being, rather than it is about cranking up the volume on all of them all of the time. So with all that said, we'll actually talk more about how muscles and fascia like to move in the section that I do later on movement variety. But here's 3 other examples of how body systems were designed with the assumption that we'd be moving more than desk jobs ask us to. First example, our lymph system. It is a series of vessels that looks a lot like our blood vessels, but it only flows one way. It flows from capillaries around extremities, inwards towards the trunk. It is responsible for clearing waste from interstitial fluid, and interstitial fluid is general tissue fluid that's responsible for bringing oxygen and nutrients to our cells. Lymph also plays a big role in the immune system, and a quirk of our lymph system is it does not have a pump. It relies on our own movement in order to work. If we don't move, lymph gets stuck. We are stuck full of waste, which is hard to interocept directly, but downstream effects interocept as stagnation or bleckiness, or generally feeling inflamed and under the weather or not our best. So if you ever get puffy anywhere on your body, like your face or maybe ankles, that's a lymph thing, like that fluid. That puffiness is lymph. Lymph stagnation can be a causal factor in pain, so proper lymph circulation is a powerful preventative health measure. And a lot of lymph is superficial. It's within the first centimeter or so of our skin. So any skin stretches will work to move it. Walking will totally do it. So something I do, I actually do scrubbing on my body when I feel that particular stagnating, like even around my abdomen. And again, I'm a body worker, so I've gotten pretty precise about this, but yeah, I find it helps quite a bit. But the interventions are simple, it's more a question of valuing them. So joints, another example. Joints are another body system with their own fluids. There's synovial fluid in all the synovial joints, which is most of them, but not all of them. And like lymph, they also do not have pumps. So the movement itself is the pump. And on one hand, joints are wrapped in fascia, called joint capsules, which is a connective tissue that's also hydrated by movement. But also, lots of joints have a fluid of their own called synovial fluid. This fluid delivers nutrients to the joint cartilage, and it also flushes waste from the joints. And movement plays a big role in circulation and even production of this joint fluid. We need enough movement to keep that joint fluid flushed and circulating and well replaced. And when I say joints, yes, I even mean your spine. Your spine is a big string of joints. So spinal wave motions get in there and keep those joints well hydrated too. There's even the atlanto-occipital joint between the top vertebrae and our skull. It's really so many joints. Third example, general hydration. Zooming out, you can see a theme. Movement is 1/2 of the body's hydration process. I was really surprised when a teacher of mine put it so plainly because it seems so important and I hadn't heard it before. So half of the hydration process is drink water, and the other half is move around so that the liquid gets from your digestion into your tissues. If we do not move, that is not sufficient to keep our tissues hydrated. The mechanical stimulation of the movement does a lot for getting water into the nooks and crannies of our tissues, especially webbings of the fascia. So my source on this is a past teacher, Kat Matlock, who's been doing corrective bodywork and sports massage and helping people out of serious physical pain for 30 years. She's really colorful about this. She says in no uncertain terms, you can drink water all day, but if you do that while you sit on a toilet and don't move, you will still feel dehydrated. The water will go right through you. She says gentle movements are especially good for this feeling of hydration, but I find vigorous actually works better for me, and it's gotten so detailed. This will actually help me if I personally feel dehydrated. Yeah, you could, if this was a live class, that you could ask me about that afterwards, but yeah, I'll let you experiment with that. I mean, I do a lot of jumping up and down also, which really connects something meaningful from my upper body to my legs.